and welcome to the Limitless Landscapers podcast. I'm Paula, your host as always, and today I'm talking about how bizarre the landscaping industry really is. I don't think you'll want to miss this episode. It's quite an interesting conversation. So let's get on with the show.
As the founder of the Landscapers Circle and the Limitless Landscapers podcast, I am here to help you get more money, time, and freedom to make your life and business truly limitless. Through my experiences as the owner of a garden design and landscaping business, and through tried and tested methods, if you want help with the marketing, managing, and growing of your business, then you are in the right place. If you are a landscaper, garden designer, horticultural business, or a supplier to the industry, be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get back to the show.
Hello and welcome to this week's podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. I am, and I'm bringing you quite an unusual subject or topic for the podcast today. And I felt compelled to record this because I had a really good discussion with a couple of people in the landscaping industry. And we were discussing recruitment training, social media, marketing, everything that we talk about in TLC and how it applies to the landscaping industry. And then we started talking about the bizarreness of the industry and belonging to an industry, the landscaping industry, like we do, and how we've managed to actually navigate it, and how really I question how we haven't gone out of our minds. Because when you start looking at different areas of the industry and what we do as landscaping and design specialists, it really is bizarre. So I thought I'd take you on a bit of a journey down why this is bizarre, and really a light-hearted podcast that hopefully you can relate to in your business. So I kind of identified 4 areas where this industry is different to others. And, you know, when you're looking at marketing and sales and stuff like that, I've trained in this for many years prior to being a landscape business owner. They always say, well, you can apply this to every business. And I would say that's not strictly true when it comes to landscaping. There's many things that you cannot apply to a landscaping business in a sales and marketing sense, but that's going to be part 2 of landscaping industry and its bizarreness. So that's going to be my part 2, which will come next week. But for part 1, I just wanted to talk about the things we do as landscapers, and, you know, it's really around the bizarre expectations people have. So number 1 is pricing. It's a hot topic at the moment because product prices are going through the roof. There's still some issues with supply, yet the bizarreness around this very issue is the fact that, one, some companies are allowing their prices to be held for as long as, you know, a piece of string. So saying that whatever quote they put out will stand, which is completely bizarre in a business sense, because you're just going to lose money and you probably won't have a business at the end of it. So that's one thing. But the second thing is customers expect you that. I've had recently a couple of clients come to me and said, you quoted for us in 2020 and the price was X. Well, it's not going to be the same now, is it? And who the hell keeps a quote from 2 years ago? That is a bizarre thing, a bizarre phenomenon in the landscaping industry, that they just expect this price that they were given, whether it's years, months, or weeks ago, is just going to stand, you know. And, you know, a few years ago, it probably would stand for longer than now. But at the moment, with the prices fluctuating as they are, you just cannot hold your price for that long. So that's number 1, the pricing element and quotations expected to stand. Then you've got your staff expectations. Now, I don't know about you, but, you know, all of us have had some issues around recruitment in the industry. I'm very lucky. I've just taken someone semi-skilled on that I'm hoping is going to develop and become a really great member of the Aura Landscapes team. But over the years, I've seen many things when it comes to staff, that what they expect. So they kind of expect that because they work for a landscaping company, that they don't have to wear shirts during the summer months. Now, you may be laughing at this because, you know, you may be thinking, yeah, I don't wear a shirt in the summer months, or my staff, I don't care if they don't. Well, I kind of do. So for many years, I've made this a rule, particularly when I came on board prior to me being here, they probably did have their shirts off. But as a client and as a, you know, their boss, I really don't want to rock up on a site visit and see all these men with tops off, sorry. I just think it looks really unprofessional. Also, you've got to be mindful of sun cancer and issues like that, sunstroke, working outside all day. So just keep your shirt on. But when I first implemented this, like I think it was 8-9 years ago, the backlash I received from the staff, because they thought it was normal to go to work and take their top off because it's hot. Honestly, again, bizarre, because you wouldn't go to an office job and start stripping off down to your underwear. It absolutely wouldn't happen, and people would think you were mad if you did it. So why do they think it applies to when you work in a landscaping industry? And I get you work outside, but I don't think you have to take your tops off to do so. I think it looks a hell of a lot more professional if you keep them on. I certainly don't want to see that, and I don't know if many of my clients would. And also along the staff expectation lines is they kind of expect to, and again, this is past, maybe not so much present. I don't know, it might be for some of you. They expect to be able to smoke while they're working. Again, if you worked in an office job, you would have to go out for a cigarette break. You would certainly not be able to smoke at your desk, and you wouldn't be doing it in front of a client. So why do it here? Again, I think of this along the lines of being more professional. And they just expect to have, you know, like expect to have music playing really loudly all the time. Well, again, I have no problem with music and things, you know, the radio being on while they're working on site. But I have had clients that have complained that it's too loud. So again, it's sort of communicating with your client before you do that, whether they mind. But again, these things don't apply outside of the industry. Maybe in some trades, I will take my hat off and say yes. But generally, if you're looking at office jobs, civil servants, anything like that, none of this you would do. But our staff kind of expect that. They also expect, like, I don't know if you've experienced this, but they expect to, you know, if a little bit of rain's happening, oh, we won't work today, will we? Well, it's meant to be clear in an hour. So yeah, we will work, won't we? And yeah, it's just the mad staff expectations that they just expect. And I was discussing this with Paul from Holland Landscapes, who agreed with me and brought up some more quite interesting staff expectations. Also, the third thing is clients. They expect you to spend your time with them for free. So in any other case, they would go and pay for time. So they would have a consultation, they would pay for it. They would go and see a lawyer, a barrister, they would help, you know, they would go to a gym, they have to pay to access it. But when it comes to using our knowledge, they think it should be free. And the amount of conversations I've had recently with potential clients, well, they're not, but they inquire with us, then they're completely shocked that we charge a site visit fee. And then they want an entire explanation around it. And it's quite frustrating, because I personally value the time that my designer and Mike spends with clients. And I personally, you don't make any money from the site visit fee, although we certainly don't. But it's kind of a loss leader. It's kind of just a token gesture of they value our time as well. And if they're not willing to pay that small site visit fee, they are not really the client I want to deal with. But again, it's their absolute shock that I have on the phone, where they're completely aghast that I dare to charge for our time. And it's their complete lack of respect for the industry in general. These types of clients, potential clients that you get, where they expect you to be at their beck and call when they're available, not when you are available, when they're available. Can't you just do a weekend visit? Well, actually, no, I actually value the fact that I give our staff time off. They've got families as well. And they expect you to get a quote to them immediately, obviously. And again, because we do charge for our site visits and our time, they often throw that in as if we've done them an injustice, and that we are not going to deliver their quote, even when they've been told an estimated time between site visit and quotation being delivered. There is still, I literally had one last month where he said, I actually feel that I've been sold something that I'm never going to get. He had waited 2 weeks. I'm sorry, but at the moment, you're looking to wait at least 21 to 28 days before you get a written quote and specification. It takes time, and it's a busy time of year. So that's how they feel, and they really don't value, this is the bizarreness of the industry. A lot of those clients don't value our knowledge, don't value the time we've spent training. They don't value the time that we're spending with them, and they just expect us to continue to do free site visits and to continue to show up and provide them with quotations that they can look, compare against 10 other people. And I just think it's unreasonable, and I just don't think you get that in many other industries. You call a plumber, you've got an issue with your boiler, you call a plumber, you pay a call out fee immediately, and they're not cheap. You have a problem with your landscape and drainage or anything like that, they expect you to come out for free. They're then going to ask 3 or 4 other competitors down the road, so waste their time as well as yours, and then go for the cheapest. And then when it goes wrong, they're quite upset that it's gone wrong. It's just unreasonable expectations to expect someone who has spent time developing their knowledge and skills and becoming a reputable designer and installer, that they expect it for free. And that really does make this industry truly bizarre. And the fourth and final thing that I just think is completely bizarre is the fact that we are an unusual industry whereby there are no formal vetting procedures. So as a landscaper, you could set up, as Joe Public, you could set up tomorrow as a landscaping specialist. No one would know. Most consumers are unaware of what goes into a quality landscaping or quality design. So you could technically just set up tomorrow and start landscaping or garden designing, and away you go. There is no true formal qualifications. You can choose to do formal qualifications. You can choose to sign up to appropriate associations such as the APL and Barley to ensure that you get vetted, and you and your business are actually reputable, and you can prove that. And you can choose to install correctly to British standards, and you can choose to be trained effectively by good training providers, but you don't have to. And that's the most bizarre part of the industry, is there's no regulations, there's nothing to hold you accountable if you are truly a cowboy landscaper, if you truly have no idea what you're doing as a garden designer. And it's quite sad and shocking. So many consumers know little about true landscaping. They watch these TV programs that don't always give a true, overview of what goes into a garden or driveway or an outdoor space creation. And that's what they think things cost, and it's not true. So it's kind of the fact that we're completely unvetted and unregulated. And the only way you do get vetted and regulated is through your choice, and it's personal choice, and it's also financial choice, because you do have to pay for these things. And if you're a new company, it's very hard to then justify that cost at the start of your business journey. So yeah, those are the 4 areas, in fact, that I feel is why this industry is so super bizarre. Another element that I've just remembered is the fact that whenever you recruit for staff, whether it be trainees or anything like that, half the time they show up and then don't come back, or they don't show up in the first place. So you could have a really good recruitment campaign and you could get lots of interest. You contact everyone, they sound all right, you whittle them down to the final few. You say to them, let's get you in to see how you're doing. They either turn up on day 1 and then don't come back, or they don't turn up at all, not even to the interview. And I say that loosely, it could be just to come on site and see how you do. But I don't know that in many other, I've worked in, a corporate setting, granted. I worked in sales and marketing, I've run my own teams, and I've very rarely had people not turn up for an interview. You might have the odd one or two, but in landscaping, you're ever hopeful that they're actually going to show up in the first place. It's a very high percentage of people that apply for these jobs that they say they want, but actually don't show up. And I find that completely bizarre. Anyway, I could go on about other foibles in the industry, which are truly bizarre, but I won't. I'm going to save that for part 2. And yeah, what a bizarre industry we reside in and work in. But I love the industry, so I must truly be bizarre as well. I'd love to know your thoughts on this, because I'm sure you have thought of things that are completely insane in the industry when you're working in it. So please get in touch. info@thelandscapercircle.co.uk. If you love this podcast, please subscribe and please do leave a review. It helps other people find this podcast. Created for landscapers, garden designers, and horticultural businesses. Created by one of you as well. I've been in this industry for 12 years. So, and I can't believe I've only found 4 areas, which is completely bizarre. I'll have a think on that, ready for the next episode. But have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Wednesday.